A new accusation has been levied against former WWE and TKO executive chairman Vince McMahon. Angel Garza's WWE contract reportedly is set to expire at the beginning of August. Chad Gable will receive an Intercontinental Championship match at Clash at the Castle, interestingly, taking place after his WWE current contract expires. Jey Uso and Lyra Valkyria declare their intentions to win this year's Money in the Bank ladder matches. The latest Uncle Howdy teasers were revealed last night on Monday Night Raw. The Women's Tag Team Champions, Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, were laid out by Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. Kiana James makes her main roster in-ring debut on Raw last night. Mercedes Moné's match on Dynamite last week led to Saraya's scheduled match being pulled from the show. We'll let you know the details on that one. Plus, Brian Cage confirms he has about 6 years left on his current AEW contract. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's start off talking about a new accusation made against former TKO and WWE executive chairman Vince McMahon. Now, the sex trafficking lawsuit filed against Vince McMahon in January has been put on pause pending a federal investigation into the former WWE chairman. Now, Miss Grant was the latest in a litany of former employees who have accused McMahon of nurturing or perpetuating sexual misconduct. Now, former WWE and WCW valet Missy Hyatt has recalled her own incident with McMahon in multiple interviews over the weekend. She said, quote, "I had to push Vince out of my hotel room because he was trying to stick his tongue in my mouth," she told Wrestling Shoot interviews. "He was bringing me back. We were in Vegas shooting, doing the tapings, and we went out. So he taught me how to play blackjack, and then I went to dinners at Caesars. This was a big group of people, and I remember I was wearing a leather dress, and Gene Okerlund just poured coffee in my lap." He said later that they did that to see how I'd react, to see if I'd freak out, but they were like, "Oh, you handled that really well." But yeah, that night, McMahon took me to my hotel room, and he was trying to get into my hotel room. I was pushing him out. Missy Hyatt also told the anecdote during an appearance on the Café de Renee as one of the reasons her stint in WWE was so short. She said, quote, "I wouldn't F Vince. That was another thing. He was really into me until he tried to get in my hotel room and I pushed him out." Hyatt had been working as an interviewer for Missy's Manor segments with the likes of Jimmy Hart and Randy Savage, a role she described hating. After her alleged interaction with McMahon, she departed the promotion after being offered the role of featurette, female attendants who took wrestlers' pre-match apparel at the beginning of the bout. In both interviews, Missy Hyatt revealed that she had contacted Janelle Grant's legal team regarding her alleged incident with Vince McMahon. She also affirmed her belief in what Grant has alleged in the lawsuit, saying she was prepared to give testimony if and when it's required. Quotes, "I hope that girl takes him to the cleaners. He should have paid the NDA. He should have paid her, and he didn't pay her, and then she comes out with all this stuff. He's just a nasty son of a bitch," she said during Café de Renee. "I've talked to the attorney that's suing him, and told them the dealings that I had with him and that he's a scummy, scummy guy. If you don't give him sex, you don't get a push. I talked to attorneys because I said, if you need to call somebody as a witness to the way Vince works, I will do it." Now, in the interview, Wrestling Shoot interview, she reiterated this point and vowed to support Grant's case. Quote, "I've believed everything. I believe it all. There's nothing I would put past Vince McMahon." Now, throughout the lawsuit process, McMahon and his attorneys have maintained his innocence, denying the allegations as nothing more than a disgruntled ex-lover lashing out and distorting the truth. His attorney echoed that sentiment last Thursday, stating that they were confident that the investigation will show their defense to be true. Prior to the lawsuit being stayed, McMahon, WWE, and John Laurinaitis had all attempted to get the civil suit moved into arbitration. Of course, if we get any more developments on the lawsuit or the pending federal investigation, we'll let you know in a future video. Now, we've been talking recently so much about contracts in WWE, and it's been confirmed by Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select that another WWE contract is set to expire this summer. Angel Garza, a former WWE Cruiserweight champion, is set to have his WWE contract expire on August 1st. Fightful Select's Sean Ross Sapp and Corey Brennan have learned after Lucha Libre Online reported recently that his deal was coming up soon. Garza also is a former 24/7 champion and has been performing with Legado del Fantasma as of late. Fightful say they have learned the two sides have been negotiating and that there is an offer on the table from WWE. The 31-year-old Angel Garza has also performed in TNA, AAA, among other companies. He first signed with WWE in the spring of 2019 after performing under the name Garza Jr. Ironically enough, his real first name is Humberto, the name of his tag team partner. Garza has been performing on the SmackDown brand, and he is scheduled for this upcoming weekend show. He'd be able to use the Garza name outside of WWE, but not Angel. What do you think is going to happen when it comes to him? Let me know your thoughts about that too in the comment section below. Now, Chad Gable, maybe one of the biggest contract stories recently, up there with Becky Lynch. And interestingly, Gable's future with WWE just became a bit more confusing. Now, another championship match was announced for Clash at the Castle on last night's episode of Monday Night Raw. On Raw, there was an in-ring segment featuring Sami Zayn and the members of Alpha Academy, Otis, Maxine Dupree, and Akira Tozawa. Otis, Dupree, and Tozawa were giving Zayn a message on Gable's behalf before Gable himself showed up and attacked Zayn from behind. Before he was laid out, though, Zayn accepted a match for his own Intercontinental Championship against Gable for Clash at the Castle, which takes place on June 15. Interestingly, Fightful has reported that Gable's current WWE contract expires on Friday, June 7, which makes the match announcement pretty notable, as it's 8 days after Gable's apparent contract expiry. Now, as of right now, there's not been any confirmation of Chad Gable re-signing with WWE, but of course we'll keep you updated if indeed we get any confirmation on that. But what do you make of that? What do you think of Chad Gable being announced for a match after his contract has expired? Do you think that's a case of Gable showing that he's going to re-sign with WWE? That I think it's just a case of agreeing to work a match after his contract. What do you think happens there? Let me know your thoughts about it in the comment section below. Now, Jey Uso, one of the most popular stars on the WWE roster right now, has said that he will be competing, or at least trying to compete this year, in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. After coming up short in the recent King of the Ring tournaments, despite impressive runs, both Jey Uso and Lyra Valkyria missed out on the guaranteed title shots in their respective divisions that were earned by the eventual winners Gunther and Nia Jax. That was but one opportunity, however, and each of these combatants made it very clear on Raw they are now focused on the next opportunity for a guaranteed title match. The Money in the Bank ladder match is coming up at their namesake premium live event in Toronto on July 6th. Uso, as is customary of his entrance as of late, made his way through the crowd while fans brought out the Fireflies and began their yeet chants, thanking the WWE Universe for its loyalty to him over the last several years. Recalling several beats to the Bloodline saga, including, as he put it, losing his family, Uso spoke authentically, lamenting his semi-final loss to Gunther, but shifting his focus towards Money in the Bank, with his title intention still very much at the forefront of his mind. Valkyria's declaration was made backstage in an interview with Kathy Kelly, in which she spoke highly of the tutelage of Becky Lynch, but also made it clear that she has proven she can stand on her own 2 feet as well, as evidenced by her falling just short in the Queen of the Ring tournament, losing in the final to Nia Jax. Before Valkyria could get too excited, however, the screams of a vengeful Io Sky, who Valkyria ousted in the semi-finals of the tournament, were heard, and the Damage Control member beat Valkyria to a pulp before storming off. So, do you think these could be 2 of the favourites for the Money in the Bank ladder matches this year? Who do you think is going to win them? Let me know your thoughts about that too. Now, the latest Uncle Howdy teasers took place last night on Monday Night Raw, as we've become accustomed to, certainly, over the last several weeks. Now, once again, an episode of WWE programming was interrupted by a QR code from Uncle Howdy, and this time it promises, and did promise to do so later on in the evening. The familiar glitch flickered during the Sheamus Ludwig Kaiser match, sending followers to a landing page at www.com/Flesh of Unifure, which is an anagram for Firefly Funhouse, and all sorts of links, hidden or otherwise, to more mysterious content. Of the straightforward links, the last one may prove to be the most fruitful in terms of the short term. Now, with a link entitled interruption.jpg, it showed a scrambled photo of Raw Talk hosts Sam Roberts and Megan Morantz, along with the text, "See you tonight." Hold that thought, we'll get to it. Others included a video titled "Preparing for a Massacre," filled with instructions and ending with the familiar image of the veiled figure, a link to a hacked version of WWE.com with the 71ENUJ slug in its URL, hinting at a June 17 debut, poetry and images from a journal presumed to be Uncle Howdy's, a rehash of one of the other landing pages from a previous episode, and a WAV file that, when played backwards, says, "Cave will be no more, the end of all things, a massacre is coming, run and hide, run and hide, run and hide." Now, some of the more obscure material included an ad-blocked icon in the top right corner that when clicked brings up a GIF advertisement for Ramblin' Rabbit Bohemian Breakfast Spread with Yowie Wowie positioned as the tagline, along with available at finer retailers near you. Additionally, there is hidden text at the bottom of the page, which when Googled leads to a results page led by a YouTube clip of Gaia and Gimbal Masterclass episode bringing a puppet to life, so certainly a lot of Bray Wyatt influence on this one. Now, when it came to this Raw Talk situation, many felt it was the tease for that show, and indeed it was. On WWE Raw Talk on Peacock, the intro video was immediately glitched as Raw Talk did not begin. Rather, a message took over the screen. It read, quote, "I have shown you signs and wonders, yet you do not believe. I offered you hope, freedom from the pit. You spit in my face, mock my family, question my timing. One last chance, an opportunity to repent. But my patience runs thin. There is a reckoning coming. Your belief is indifferent. It is inevitable. You will learn you are finite, and you shall all behold what we have become. A massacre is coming." And while the hosts Megan Morant and Sam Roberts were shaken upon the show begin, they went on to conduct their business as usual despite this creepy intro. Now, we saw the Women's Tag Team Champions last night on Monday Night Raw, but they were attacked by a returning tag team. Women's Tag Team Champions Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill were invited to this week's episode of Raw by number one contenders Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler, and after taking digs at the champs for never being on Raw, despite the fact that both Cargill and Belair were drafted to SmackDown, Cargill and Belair offered to put their titles on the line right there and then. General Manager Adam Pearce requested a referee and made the match official, but in the end, there was no winner. The champions dominated early on, putting their opponents in stereo, delayed vertical suplexes. Belair took on both women by herself and handled them for a while. Stark and Baszler were eventually able to overcome her and finally get some offense in. Cargill took down Baszler, only for Baszler to do the same with her. While the two were busy on the outside, however, Belair hit Stark with a KOD, but before she could get the pin, Belair was attacked from behind by Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, the Unholy Union. Fire and Dawn, along with Stark and Baszler, then beat up the champions and left them laid out in the ring while staring each other down. While they were recently seen in a confrontation with Cargill and Belair backstage, the Unholy Union haven't actually wrestled together in a tag team match since January, when they lost to Kaden Carter and Katana Chance on SmackDown. Prior to that, they hadn't been used as a team on WWE television since losing to Baszler and Ronda Rousey in a match that unified the Women's Tag Team Championships and the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships back in June of 2023. After the in-ring attack, Dawn and Fire were seen again backstage where they demanded a title match at the upcoming Clash at the Castle PLE. Now, speaking of former NXT stars, for a debut match in WWE's Women's Division, one could do far worse than coming away with a victory over one of the most tenured superstars in the WWE Women's Division, Natalya. With that in mind, Kiana James's run on Raw is off to an excellent start. In her first match since being drafted to Raw from NXT, James was able to get the better of the boat, thwarting a sharpshooter and landing her finisher, the 401k, to earn the victory. James has only been seen in the background of previous episodes of Raw since the draft, interacting with General Manager Adam Pearce sporadically, but otherwise not the subject of much attention. Last night, prior to her match, that was explained by James, saying that she'd been taking her time to get acclimated before hitting the ring for the first time. James, who spent a shade over 2 years in NXT following 3 appearances on AEW Dark in 2021, is a former NXT Women's Tag Team Champion alongside Fallon Henley, eventually losing the titles to Alba Fire and Isla Dawn at Stand and Deliver 2023. Following the match, Natalya was shown frustrated and muttering to herself backstage before being approached by Sonya Deville, who asked if she was ready for something different. To that, Natalya invoked her late uncle, Owen Hart, in saying, "Enough is enough and it's time for a change," which was the rallying cry behind his joining the Nation of Domination and became the intro to his theme music for much of 1998. Now let's switch over to AEW because Saraya, she was frustrated last week after her match was pulled from AEW Dynamite, and we may now know why. Mercedes Mone wrestled on the May 29 edition of defending the TBS Championship against Sky Blue. The challenger had revealed in the build-up that she was the one who attacked Mone shortly after her debut, resulting in a grudge match that wasn't advertised going into the show. The reason why it wasn't advertised was because it wasn't scheduled to happen, as a bout between Mariah May and Saraya had already been announced. However, Dave Meltzer confirmed on the Wrestling Observer radio show that AEW chose to replace Saraya vs Mariah May with Mercedes Mone vs Sky Blue. While the official reason that prompted the decision hasn't been revealed, Saraya vs Mariah May will now take place this Wednesday on the June 5th edition of Dynamite. Saraya, she didn't seem too happy with the decision, as she took to X to briefly change her bio to "Aight, I'm about to head out," as well as posting "about to really start speaking my mind." Her post was quickly deleted, and her bio was also changed to a simple message that says "Hi." Mone will also be on the upcoming episode of Dynamite. She is set to have an official championship celebration after her big victory over Willow Nightingale at Double or Nothing, where it's likely she will address the arrival of New Japan Strong and CMLL Women's World Champion Stephanie Vacqua, who look to state her claim as Mone's next challenger for the TBS Championship ahead of the Forbidden Door pay-per-view on June 30. And finally, Brian Cage has confirmed how much time he's got left on his current AEW contract. Now, after signing a new contract in April 2023 with AEW, Brian Cage has seemingly clarified some previously reported details. When discussing whether or not he sees himself going anywhere else, Brian Cage said on the Lightweights podcast, quote, "I don't see myself going anywhere else. With how long I've been there and how long my contract is for and everything else, it makes sense to stay put, and I'm happy with that." The host would go on to query about how much longer he has in his contract, asking, "About 6 years, right?" To which Cage responded, yeah. It had been previously reported that Cage had signed a 5-year contract with a 6th year option. Going on to discuss the difference in this negotiation process to the past, Cage noted it was the first time he worked with an agent. He said, quote, "No, I do have an agent. The first time I've used an agent was with this contract. My first contract with AEW, my contract with WWE and Lucha Underground, it's always been me. I finally used an agent this last time. It was a little bit of everything, including bonuses, like a DVD bonus menu. I basically talked to him, we went back and forth until I felt like that's as far as I'm going to go, and then tag him in to add anything onto it. I felt like I got a little bit of everything with him." So, looks like Brian Cage, the Machine, is going to be sticking around for the foreseeable future when it comes to AEW. But there you go, guys. Latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right-hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.